He didn't play for the win. That's what. He didn't play for the win.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay, look it up. Look it up. Look it up. Bubba Smith was laying on the floor, calling timeout when he didn't even have the ball, and Notre Dame had the ball just so they could try to get it again. And Passion didn't play for the win. Look that game up.
No, he's good.
Who are you talking to about?
I'm talking to Simon, the spokesman for South Bend.
He's talking
The unofficial spokesman
about
for
the
the
University
Jewish
of Deir
Federation
Mama.
and for Notre Dame.
He's talking to me about the University of Deir Mama, you know?
Oh. Hey.
What do you call it?
Okay, let's go. It's a little late. I apologize.
What word did you use, Simon? I didn't hear your word.
Deir Mama, Notre Dame means the mother.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, so we left off by the two dots. Chaytet begadish, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so chaytet begadish. So that's talking about where you open up. Not open it. You dig open a hole in. You have a pile of straw, and you. I keep saying dig out, but it's not dig out, right?
Hollow out a haystack.
Hollow out. There you go. That's a good way of saying it. You hollow out the things. So it said a chayte begodesh. Some Ravuna loishanu ela shein shom chalot tefach b'meshech shiva, which is very interesting. This is only talking about where there was no opening of a tefach b'meshech shiva with the length of 7. But if basically what happened is if you had a hole of a tefach high and 7 tefachim long, and then you covered it over with some straw, and then you piled up the straw. So meaning there was always an opening of 7 tefachim long, which is the length of the sukkah, and a tefach high. Then, since that's called the start of a sukkah, if you finish shovel, what do you call it? Shoveling, not shovel. I can't.
Hollowing.
Hollowing it. Yeah. So if you finished hollowing it out, then that would be fine. That's what the Gemara is saying. Now, where does that tefach come from? It should be 10 tefachim high. Is it a kosher sukkah, right? So Tosfos says, because remember we said, I think it was a week ago actually, when a sukkah gabi sukkah. So there's one shita that says that how do you have a sukkah on gabi sukkah? There's a minimum of a tefach in between. Right, so minimum of a tefach in between, that would be sukkah gabi sukkah. So that's enough to be considered its own sukkah. Yeah, so that's where that tefach comes from. So tani nami hachi, achayte begadish lasis le sukkah. If you dig out a gadish and make a sukkah, raise a sukkah, it's considered a sukkah. V'anan tanan ain't a sukkah, but we learned that it's not a sukkah. Lav shmami no ked Rav Huna. So no, it must be like Rav Huna, where it's if there was a tefach high and 7 tefachim long of an opening, then you're allowed to complete it. There are those that ask it as a stira. Somebody who cuts out a gadish in order to make a sukkah ain't a sukkah. It's not considered a sukkah. It's not kosher. Oh, but Tanya raised a sukkah. We learned in the Brayso that it is a sukkah. Right? Same teretz. One is talking about where the sukkah that's passul did not have any opening at all, and the sukkah that's kosher had an opening of a tefach high and 7 tefachim long. Okay, Zog the Mishna. I'm a shalshul tfanis. If you're lowering walls, milamala lamata, from the top to the bottom, right? So meaning you started your wall by the top of the sukkah, and then you realized when you got to the bottom that you didn't have enough wood to make it all the way down to the bottom. So what's the status? If the wall ends above 3 tefachim from the ground, it's psul, it's passul. But if you do the opposite, where you start building from the bottom and then go up, then milamata lamala im kavaya asar tefachim ksheira. If it goes from the bottom to the top, if it's higher than 10 tefachim, then it's going to be kosher, right? So basically, because there's a rule that anytime a wall, we had this before, anytime you have a wall, so you look at the wall that it goes straight up and it goes straight down. One is called good asik, that's the wall goes straight up to the sky. And good achas that it goes straight down. But by sukkah, we don't say that. That's according to the Tanakama. By sukkah, it has to be within 3 tefachim of the ground. And Yossi Omer, he says no, it works the same way. Just like from the bottom to the top is 10 tefachim, from the Mala Lamata, Asara tefachim. So too from the Mala Lamata, it's 10 tefachim. Right, so basically, Machlokes whether we say good achis by a sukkah or not. Yes, so by my committee. So what's the Machlokes? Marsav mechitza tluya materes. Marsav mechitza tluya ein materes. A hanging mechitza will be matter things. That's the Tanakama. I'm sorry, that's Rav Yossi. And the Tanakama says that a mechitza tluya, a hanging mechitza, doesn't matter anything on Shabbos. Meaning, on Shabbos you have the same issue. If you have an eruv, and it has a wall, but the wall doesn't reach the floor, so all it gets is the same machlokes. Does it get 3 tefachim, or can it even have more than 3 tefachim? So l'maisa by Shabbos we paskin that it's 3 tefachim. It's a mistake that a lot of people make. They say, "Oh, I have a bungalow here, and an eruv." It's a common mistake in eruv. So they say, "Oh, the bungalow acts as a wall." Problem is, a lot of these bungalows are jacked up, so the floor of the bungalow is a good few feet off the ground. So that doesn't work because it doesn't go. We don't say for Shabbos good awesome. That's why we pass it, but it's a machlokes. Yeah.
What if someone puts lattice work to close it off? It's not a real wall.
But lattice work would be fine. All right. Yeah. So Tanan.
So you're good, Jesse. Massachusetts, you're good.
Yeah, I'll show you an example of what we're talking about here. Just the porch that I'm sitting on. See, this porch, that's a fence. Right, so that's a kosher wall. So we say it goes straight up. That's the way we pass it. But if this fence would be on the top and not hit the ground, then that would be a problem. Right, that's basically right that fence. Okay, so fine. The Gemara goes with another example from eruv that if you have a body of water in between 2 chatzeros, so and there's a fence in between. Yeah, we had this in eruv. So if you have 2 yards, and there's like a well of water that both yards share, and there's a fence going above the well. So you think that the fence would be enough. So Gemara is going to say it's not enough, at least according to the first shita, because the water mixes underneath the fence. So what you'd have to do is you have to build some sort of fence within the airspace of the lips of the well, right?
Yaakov,
So
it's very. I remember during eruv we said it's very similar to what we do on around the karfif.
Around the car, well, it depends which type of carver, but yeah. So right, so but basically the shaila is, does that fence have to go all the way down into the water? Is the fence in the water enough? Which one is it? So Tanan Hasan, we learned over there in the Mishna. Bar shebein shtei chatzeros. You have a bar of water that's in between 2 chatzeros. Ein memalim mimena b'Shabbos. You're not allowed to fill up from Shabbos. Elim kein asal mechitza asara tefachim. Unless you make a mechitza of 10 tefachim, bein min lamala, whether it's on top of the water. Bein lamata, whether it's under the water, bein b'sayich ognoi, whether it's within the, literally means the ears of the walls. It means the walls of the well, right? Which Taisus has some girsa issues. He takes out something, right? Because he doesn't say anything about lamala. But either way, so according to the Tanakama, you have to have some sort of fence that's 10 tefachim. Shimon Gamliel Omer on Talmud Beis. That Beis Shammai Omer milamala, uBeis Hillel Omer milamata. Beis Shammai says that it's that you have to put it on top of the water, and Beis Hillel says you have to put it on the bottom. Some Rabbi Yehuda loitei mechitza gedolim and akaisel shebeneim. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees. He says there's a wall in between these two chatzeros. There's a wall in between. So what do you need? Why do you need anything else? Some Rabbi Bachana, Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yehuda b'shitas Rabbi Yossi Amra. Rabbi Yehuda goes with the shita of Rabbi Yossi in the Mishna. The Amar mechitza tluya materes. That mechitza tluya is mutter, right? So Rabbi Yossi in our Mishna says that the wall of the sukkah does not have to go down to within 3 tefachim of the ground. As long as you have 10 tefachim of wall, it can be way higher than the floor of the sukkah. So we're saying that Rabbi Yehuda says the same thing by this fence over the water. So Lachar is saying the same thing. So Valayi in the Gemara says it's not true. And this just is interesting how the Gemara, you can look at sukkah and Shabbos as two totally different, whether one is machmer and one is mekel, or the other one is the opposite. Valayi. Rabbi Yehuda savalak Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yossi savalak Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold like Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbi Yossi doesn't hold like Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda savalak Rabbi Yossi. Ad kan like Rabbi Yehuda hasam ela beruve chatzeros the Rabbana. When did Rabbi Yehuda say that you don't need a special wall? That's eruv chatzeros. We know that eruvin is the Rabbana. Aval hacha sukkah deraisa, loy, but by a sukkah deraisa, you're going to be machshir a sukkah with the hanging mechitzos. That doesn't work. Loy Rabbi Yossi savalak Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yossi is not going to agree with Rabbi Yehuda either, because I can like come Rabbi Yossi hacha elab sukkah the mitzvah saseh. Rabbi Yossi says by a sukkah that's a mitzvah saseh. Okay, so it's nishkaferlich. It's you're trying to do mitzvah saseh. We can rely on a leniency to say that the wall goes straight down. Aval Shabbos, the Isser skila, but the Shabbos that you're going to do an Isser skila, loy, that he doesn't say. That he doesn't say is dinva. Okay, so then.
Yaakov, there's still an Issa and by Sukkah, it's just not a mitzvah. I say it's also to sleep Shinas Arai Chutz L'Sukkah. So it's not skila, but it's an Issa. It's not just an Asay.
Okay, but that's you're right. What you want to say? It's an Issa or it's a Bittul Asay?
That's an Issa. You can't sleep with Shinas Arai Chutz L'Sukkah. It's a lav, no?
What?
Isn't it
Doesn't
an
say
Issa?
that-
Lava bo michlal asay. Asehu.
1 second. It doesn't. It says somewhere that you're not. Doesn't it say about sukkahs teishu shivas yomim? No.
Yes.
So that's a mitzvah deraisa. Again, I'm not going to get. I don't want to get involved with the wigs thing, but the wig is also a woman covering her hair is only a mitzvah saseh. It's not a lav, right?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
We're out of touch on the wigs. We haven't mentioned it in a while.
Tiago Shmuley called me today and he goes, "What's the deal with the wigs? I'm just catching up now on the daf."
Huh?
Shmuley called me, asked me about what's with his lace wigs. He's catching up on the daf. He's a little behind.
That's funny. Yeah. He's ready up to the wigs. Where's
Yeah.
the wigs? I don't even remember. What Masechta
May.
was the wigs
End
in?
of May. End of May. End of May.
Oh, okay. All right. Anyways, so
I know because
it's
I have to look
interesting.
back at the tweets.
No,
I
I
have to
thought
read the
maybe,
tweets.
that maybe that's why he's saying Dafka Shabbos is skila to show that that even if you have a lav by sukkah, it's not skila for obviously.
But that's the thing though. He's saying that Shabbos has got its chumrah because Lamais it's skila. But on the other hand, the issue of Shabbos that he's dealing with is only the Rabbanan issue. Nobody's going to say that the skila for carrying in a Rishus HaYachid, two Rishus HaYachid. But it's interesting. But the whole concept of Shabbos is skila.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very interesting. Anyways, okay, let's see. Bim Taimar, Ma'aser Shenasa
Yaakov,
Yes.
I think for the Sheitlach, the Goinim will hold that it's usher, go with the Ramban. Hold that an Isser Asay is worse than a lav.
Is that so? Yeah.
I don't know. I think they must, but well, the Ramban holds that. It's Ramban al Atayra. Asay is worse than a lav. That's why there's no Malchus for an Isser Asay.
Well, I got you. I hear. All right, maybe that's a shot. But that, I mean, the Gemara here is certainly not going like that.
I was going to say, that's why the Gemara here says this is skila. Bavar the Ramban. Even if you hold that an Asay is worse than a lav, Shabbos is an Issa skila.
Right. True. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So the Maisa that happened in Tzipori, now Tzipori, Rashi says, was Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi was Rosh Hashiva. So if you're saying that Rabbi Yossi wouldn't say his din by Shabbos, so then what this Maisa that happened on Shabbos in Tzipori, what happened? Lo Pi Rabbi Yossi, it's a Pi Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi. It wasn't on Rabbi Yossi. It was Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Shmuel, his son. Which means that Rabbi Shmuel did not necessarily agree with his father. That's essentially what the Gemara is saying here. Right? Everybody thinks that the poskim have to go with the father. I had quite a few situations where Rabbi David Feinstein and Safran al-Rach was chaylik on Rabbi Isha. But so I mean, we're saying here it wasn't Rabbi Yossi, it must have been his son. Well, my Maisa, what was the Maisa? The Chiyasar of Dimi, Amar Pama, Pashak, V'lo Yaviu Sefer Torah Erev Shabbos. One time they forgot and they didn't bring a Sefer Torah from Erev Shabbos.
Yaakov, that's not so schwer. We have plenty of times where sons go against the father. It's very common.
Yeah, I hear that.
Aaron,
Yeah.
I thought there's not supposed to be personal stuff on the
Rabbi Aaron, I was just making sure you're listening.
Well,
Yeah. Anyway, so what was the Maisa? So back then, there was this time when the shuls, I guess, were illegal, whatever it is. So they kept the Sefer Torah hidden in the house. It's a Corona thing, no? They kept the Sefer Torah hidden in the house and they brought it out to Lane. Garada, somebody just texted me that they just tested positive for Corona. I haven't had that in a while. But anyway, so
Was he vaccinated?
I'm not asking, right? So my Maisa.
It's actually coming back. I have a few employees that tested positive this week.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so my Maisa. The Chiyasar of Dimi, Omar Pamach, Shakum, V'lo Yaviu Sefer Torah Erev Shabbos. Sometimes, one time they forgot to bring the Sefer Torah Erev Shabbos. So what they do, Lamachar, Pirsu Sadinin Al Gabi Amudin, they spread sheets on top of pillars, and then they use it as a mechitzos, Yaviu Sefer Torah V'karubai, and they brought a Sefer Torah and read it. And Rashi says that it's talking about where the mechitzos didn't reach the ground.
Didn't we
So you
have
see
this
that
in
they were-
brachas or something?
We had
Or was it
something.
eruv or something with the Sefer Torah and they stole it and they're hiding it?
This is all, yes, it's all in eruv.
yeah.
Eruv.
All in eruv and parrots. Very good. So Gemara says, Pirsu Sakadaita. You think that they really spread it out on Shabbos? How do you spread out a sheet on eruv over beams if you don't have an eruv? Where do you bring them on Shabbos from? Ella Matzu Sadina Prusin Al Gabi Hamudin Vaviu Sefer Torah V'karubai. What happened was they found that Sadinim were spread out on Amudim and then they brought the Sefer Torah. It means that they were there before. And point is that they relied on it. So Gemara says it happened in Rabbi Yossi's town. So Gemara says, well, maybe it wasn't Rabbi Yossi. Maybe it was Rabbi Shmuel, but Rabbi Yossi. Okay. This is called the Yeshiva Sukka right here that the Gemara is doing. You have a mat that's 4 and change. Materes B'sukim Shum Doifin. You can make that into a kosher wall. How are you going to do that? It needs to be at least 10 tefachim high. So how are you going to do this? What you do is you hang it in the middle, less than 3 towards the bottom, and less than 3 to the top. And anything less than 3 is like lavud. Right? So basically what you do is you have 10 tefachim high, you have a mechitzos that's 4 and change. You hang it right in the middle between the 10 tefachim level and the ground. So it's within 3 of the ground, that's 1 lavud, and it's within 3 of the 10 tefachim, and that's also lavud. Right? The chol pachas b'shleisha k'lavud dami. Zumar says pshita. We know that. What are you trying to teach us? Lavud. So ma the same achad lavud amrina trei lavud loyamina. Maybe you only say 1 lavud per wall, but here you're saying 2 lavuds, 1 on top and 1 on the bottom. So maybe you don't say 2 lavuds on 1 wall. Kamash will let you do. Fine. Meisvei matzela shiva u'mashu materes b'sukkah mishum doifin. You can do this shtick, but with a 7 tefachim and change, not 4 tefachim. That's mashma that you can only do 1 lavud, right? It's 7.5 tefachim means you can hang it 3 tefachim, little less than 3 tefachim on the ground, and that will be your wall. But it's mashma 4 you can't do. So Gemara says kitani b'sukkah gedola. No, that's talking about by a sukkah that's very high, way higher than 10 tefachim. So since it's way higher than 10 tefachim, the only way to make a kosher wall is to have a wall of 7.5 tefachim. My kamashvul and the mashashon tfanas min lamala lamata Rabbi Yossi, and the chiddush is that it's teaching us that we hold like Rabbi Yossi, right? Yeah, so that you're allowed to lower the walls for lamala lamata, yeah, and like Rabbi Yossi. 1 second, it's just. Yeah, okay, so bye. To Sama Rabbi Ami pass Arbo Mashum Mata Basukum Mishum Doifin. You can have a board that's 4 and change, and it will allow a doifin. Now, this is talking about, till now we were talking about height from the bottom up. Here we're talking about the width, right? So you could have a pass that's 4 and change. Now you really need to have 7 tefachim. How are you going to do this? You put it with 3 tefachim, within 3 tefachim closest to the other wall. And anything close to the wall is like lavud. So Gemara says, "My kamashal, what's the chiddush? Okamash Malon, Shir Meshech Sukkah Kitana Shiva, that the minimum amount of a sukkah is 7 tefachim. Meaning, so if you have a board that's 4.5, 4 and change wide, and you put it within 3 tefachim of the other wall, then you have yourself a kosher wall, even though it's only 4 tefachim. Taisus says, interesting. I'm not sure what he's saying, but he says, how come here the Gemara changed from machzeles to pas? When we're talking about the wall, the Gemara describes it as a machzeles, as a mat. And then when it's talking about trying to make the walls of the sukkah widthwise, it says called it a pas. So Rashi says that mu'umir is shayach lashon pas, right? And for rechavel, for the height, that's a lashon of machzeles. I have no idea why you would use a lashon of machzeles and pas. I'm not sure, but yeah. So that's it. Okay, it's a fairly simple stuff. I hope it was understandable. All right, have a good way. I get figure like 10 to 10, Baruch, 10 to 10. What's the Shabbos? Hashem, yeah.
Okay.
Fine. All right, so good Shabbos, everybody.
Yeah, you buy your mother?
Have a
What?
good Shabbos.
You buy your
Shabbos,
mother for
everyone.
Shabbos?
What do you say? No, I'm in camp. You know how many people are by mommy for Shabbos?
That's what I was asking, man.
Yeah, I
You
know.
love your-
Raisel's there. She told me today.
Razel eating there tonight is Razel, Suri, Israel, Aaron.
No wonder he's in camp.
I was gonna
Eric,
say,
no wonder he's in
Tiago's
camp.
loving this camp thing.
Most of Nefesh to go to camp.
That's right. That's right. And I have the best of both worlds because I take her food back to camp too.
Oh,
Amada.
I got the sourdough. Where's Aaron's wife? I got the sourdough challah. I'm ready to roll.
A couple potato kugels, you're good to go, Tiago.
Correct.
By the way, Tiago, I finally spoke to my Mosh today. I had no idea he even made it to camp. And
That's nice.
he tells me the boys want to make a minion. Half the guys there, Yeshiva Rockaway boys, they want to know, new, when's the 10-15 minion?
Oh, yeah.
The Balkair is there.
Have a good Shabbos, everyone.
that'll be
All right.
good
Good
Shabbos.
Shabbos.
So parents, that'll be a new reason to throw kids out of camp.
Because they never davened at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Cut their fingers off.
And now earlier than the Munkat Rebbe, and now earlier than Chabad, but okay.
Rabbi, can I call you when you get off for a quick shaila?
Yeah.
Where do we get up to today?
We finished the daf. There's a Mishna on the next summer.
Okay, beautiful. I wasn't really following. Thank you.
How you feeling?
Not as good as last night.